Hello everyone. So welcome to, I can't remember what I call this one. I think it's probably systematic review automation tools to do systematic reviews faster or something along those lines. So I'll be doing the workshop today for those who might have missed it. If you have questions, please put them in the chat, and I promise at the end of the workshop, I'll come back and I'll answer all the questions. What I'm going to do, so the way the workshop will work or the webinar will work, is I'm going to go through and I'm going to try to do as much of a systematic review now, tonight, using all of the tools. I should be able to get through most of it. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I have got a couple of little things I've pre-designed and preset, but for the most part, I'm going to try to do it all for real, using all of the tools as I use them in my real job, or well, second real job, which is to do reviews. Most of it is screen sharing with me talking as I go. Uh, Hang on, I might just try that again. Cool. Yeah. All right. So hopefully everyone can see the PowerPoint. I promise the PowerPoint doesn't last very long. It's just a bit of a backgrounder. So I'm Justin. I work at Bond University for the Institute of Evidence-Based Healthcare. About 10 years ago now, we started to build automation tools for ourselves. We do a lot of reviews. About 30% of our publications, as it were, and still are systematic reviews. So about 10 years ago, we started to build tools for ourselves just to help us do reviews faster. We put a couple online because we thought other people might like them. Turns out they liked some of them a lot. So we kept putting more and more online. And as we went, we kind of grew the platform to now where we upgraded the Systematic Review Accelerator to the Evidence Review Accelerator, which is what we'll be talking about today, or what I'll be talking about today. And hopefully you guys might have some questions about it. But before I get started, I always like to just give a very, very brief but important little nod to the talent who actually do all the hard work. So these are all the super talented developers and computer scientists who basically do the heavy lifting and build the tools. I mean, well, I get to get up in front and run the workshops and get my credit for their hard talent and their hard work. So this is Matt. We've been working together since the start. Computer scientist, doctor of computer science, very talented guy. Connor, who's also still working with us a little bit, but he got co-opted by industry for a lot of money. So Connor, also very talented, got a bachelor's of IT or computer science where he got first class honors. And I think he even won the Vice Chancellor's Award. Tian, she's got 2 master's degrees, so one by research. And Irene has also got a master's degree, probably going to get PhDs as well, Tian and Irene. So these are the 4 super talented people who really build all of these tools. And without their talents, the tools would not be possible. So I'm just going to very briefly talk about what a systematic review is and the different steps. So a systematic review, well, is an evidence synthesis. So there are 6 basic tasks you need to do a systematic review or an evidence synthesis of some sort. You need to write a protocol. This is kind of you outline what you're going to do. You say, we're going to search these databases. We're going to extract this data to answer this question. Find some studies. You do that by going off and you search databases normally. So PubMed, Embase, or Cochrane. Select studies. This is a manual review process where 2 people normally do it independently and then compare their results to get down to the set of included studies that you have in your review. When you've got your included studies, you then need to extract and assess the study data from those studies, then synthesize that study data, normally either in a meta-analysis or you do it narratively, so you describe them in a way that answers your question pretty well. Then you write the review and fingers crossed, get it published. So they're the 6 steps in doing a systematic review. This is the Evidence Review Accelerator. When I switch over to it, I'll talk about it a bit more. So this is the platform. That's the web address, tera-tools.com. You can Google TERA Tools or the Evidence Review Accelerator as well, obviously, and find it. But a really important take-home message before I kind of move over and start using them. These tools, although they may look like magic, they're not magic. A lot of people have worked very hard to build them. I know there's actually some people and here on the call who have actually helped us build them as well. So we've had a great community who've provided great feedback as well. But importantly, these tools don't replace the need to know what you're doing. You need skilled people who know how to do a review, working on the review. Of course, you can have novices who have no idea what they're doing and are guided throughout the process as well. But these tools do not replace the need to have skilled people using those skills to do good reviews. So that's it for PowerPoints. I'll switch over now to the Evidence Review Accelerator, or TERA. So this is the platform. You can create an account. Well, there's a webinar there, but I guess you know about that one since, oh, I should take that down actually. Down here, we've got some really good training videos. And down here, we have a LinkedIn group. If you're interested, you can join the LinkedIn group. We post updates and other little things there. And most importantly, we have multiple account types. So we have a free account. So you can sign up if you haven't already signed up, you can sign up today. You can sign up for free. So if you use the free version, it's fine. You can, there's a couple of little things though that we do restrict using the free version. So with the free version, you can create one project only. So you can create and run one project at a time. If you've got the free version, you can though join as many projects as you like. There's no limit on the number of projects you can join. So if you're working across 5 reviews with 5 different people and you've got the free account and they all invite you in, you can join all 5 reviews that someone else has created. You also only get 1,000 what we call TERA credits. So 1 credit equals screen 1 record in our automated screening platform, Mecha Screener. So basically, you have a small amount of restriction around the number of projects you can create and the number of records you can screen. If you become a TERA member, it's reasonably priced, I think, but I would think that. It costs 10 Australian dollars, so that is 10 Australian dollars, not euros or US dollars, for 1 month, or 100 Australian dollars for the year. If you become a member, you can create as many projects as you like. There's no limit on the number of projects you can create. You also get 10,000 credits a month. So therefore, you can screen 10,000 studies in the Mecha Screener tool every month. We also now have institutional membership. So if the institution subscribes, everyone at that institution, so every staff member and every student who works there can sign up and they automatically become members as well. So that's it for membership. To get started, I'm going to go into my projects. So this is a big list of projects. To do anything, even if you really like the deduplicated tool and that's the only tool you really use, which is fine, you still need to create a project to get started. So you always need to have a project to do anything. So if you come along and you're wondering why you can't use anything and no tools are displaying, it's because you haven't created a project yet. So you always need to at least create one project to use the tools. It's more so we know where to save stuff, really. So we need to kind of create a saved file saving environment, and that's what creating a project will do. So I'm going to create one. So I'm going to use my demo is blue light to treat acne tonight. We support a few different types of projects. So systematic review is the main one we support, but we also support scoping reviews, network meta-analysis, diagnostic test accuracy reviews, and umbrella reviews. We have a couple of tools as well, which are pretty good, but to help you do randomized trials. But most of the tools, 95% of our tools, are to help with doing systematic reviews or other types of reviews. So I'll stick and keep it with systematic review, create a new project. So that's got my project created. I will give it a short name, which can be handy. You can put in a description here if you like, which is also quite useful. I'm not going to do it now, but you can, if you like. Down here, there's one member of this project at the moment. So it works as a shared environment or a shared platform. So you invite other people in and they can then collaborate. They can use all the files, use all the tools, look at the protocol that you're designing and work with them. But if you've got the crown, it means you created the project. and you're the only person who can delete the project. So I'm going to invite someone in. So Matt, so you just type their email in and hit send. This now sends Matt an email from us, and that email's got a link in it. If you click that link, you then join this project. If you don't have a TERA account, when you click the link, it'll detect the fact you've got no account, and it will then ask you to register. So it'll then automatically register you in, and then you'll join the project. So Matt's been invited. When he accepts the invite, he will become, that'll change to member, and he'll become a member of the project team. To delete a project, and we've made this quite hard to delete them on purpose, because we don't want people accidentally deleting projects for very good reasons. But there's three little buttons up the top right corner. Click on them, hit delete, type in delete, all in caps, then hit delete, and that will actually delete this whole project. I don't want to say we can then get it back for you if you manage to accidentally do this. We can, but it's a lot of work for us to find it and reattach everything. So we've made it very hard to delete it because it is quite difficult to go and reinstate it and put everyone back on it. But none of the data actually gets deleted. So I'll come back here. If you are the creator and people are taking a bit too long to respond, like Matt's had a minute, that's too long for me, you can kick him out of the project. So if you're the creator, you can also remove people. So I'll remove Matt from the project. So that's it for getting started. Review, inviting people in. Project files, so this will be blank. So project files, you can store any type of project file you like here. You can store Word documents, you can store Excel spreadsheets, or lists of references. So primarily the point of it is to store lists of references. So I will do that. I'm going to upload a file now. And I'll upload some seed studies, which I'll be using with the search tools. So this uploads it, processes it, and understands that it's references, and there's 10 references. If I click on it, you can then edit all of the references that are in here. The full reference is available if you then click on it. There's other things, move files. You can create a folder. So I'll just, oh, that's new. That's very nice. Sorry, it's just a new little graphic display, which is much nicer than the old one. So I might just go search results, for instance, create the folder. Now I've got a folder and I can move and I can put my search results in this folder, for instance. So it's a nice way to just, manage your files a bit better. You can merge files as well together, download, delete, all sorts of things. All the things you'd expect. One thing to mention, these are all the file types we accept. The max file size. So this is something we do get asked a little bit when people try to upload, 200,000 references to deduplicate. There is a max file size of 100 meg. So if your file is over 100 meg, you won't be able to upload it. So if you do need to screen or deduplicate huge files, you might have to split it in half or into thirds and upload different file sizes. I think that's it for everything. So now I'll move over to the review wizard. So the review wizard is a protocol writing tool. So you have there's basically asks you a bunch of questions. You fill out all the empty boxes, and at the end of it, hit a button, and it will write your protocol for you. It'll give it the name. So normally it will pull the name from the project title or the project title. You can change that if you like. You can put a systematic review in there if you want. So you can always edit everything, really. People, then you just add people to your project. I'll add myself. And sometimes if you're working by yourself, this won't really happen. But when there's a big workshop going on, the bandwidth sometimes gets a bit twitchy. But you can add more people in. Introduction, I'll move down to, so the introduction is nothing we really do for you. You still have to write your own introduction. We don't really believe in writing introductions for people, but we do give you an overview of what introduction should look like, should be. So we give you a few pointers of how to write one, and then we give you an example from our blue light review. Eligibility criteria is where you start actually filling out questions. So inclusion criteria for mine will be people with acne. Intervention is blue light phototherapy. My comparator will be usual care. And my outcome for this one will be reduction in acne severity. So they're my eco criterias. We do have something for settings. So normally something like this we run in the community. There are add buttons as well if you want to add different things in. Go to randomized trials. So you can then select study types as well. So I won't keep filling this in because there's a lot more to get through, but I'll go to one I've got already pre-filled. So this one has got, a lot more details. It's got a bunch of exclusion criteria, got the same thing written twice, but a bunch more outcomes, some secondary, some primary, different study types I'm after, got all the different search strategy elements in, got all my search strings done. It's pretty straightforward. You just basically go down and answer the questions or click the boxes to select things. Data extraction, all the data you're going to extract. Assessment of risk of bias, the tools you're going to use. We have most of the tools we're aware of, but you can always hit other and add another tool if there's another tool you want to add. Measurement of effect, any meta analysis you'll do, what tool you'll use, unit of analysis, everything you would kind of think you would do. Link after you register it. We've also got the author contribution section, so you can fill this out. We use the credit system, which I can never remember what it stands for, but it's basically the one all the journal publishers all use. They all use the credit system for author contributions. Then study characteristics. So one good thing about using this is as you do it, I mean, I've filled this one out previously, but what you can do is after you have told the tool what data you're going to extract, it will generate data extraction forms for you. So if I go export to Excel, this then has all of my headings in my data extraction form. So you may want to edit it a little bit, before filling it out, obviously. But it's just a good way to get a data extraction form kind of started and getting it going. Same with study outcomes. You can also export this and then you'll have a study outcomes extraction table. But the main reason to fill it out is then we get down to our method section, and our method section is where we can then get the review wizard to write our method section for you. So if I hit, generate output, it will generate the output. So it will write all of this for me. It's kind of why I like to use what I've pre-filled. It's got all the contributions from all the authors, all the search strategies down the bottom. If you don't like it, you can hit rewrite. This will then rewrite it for you slightly. So we haven't used any AI to write this, and it's not using AI now to rewrite it. This is all we use random sentence selection. So we've written all of these sentences, and we want to make sure they all make sense. So there's no, AI writing this. Humans who, in theory, know what they're doing have written all of these sentences, and it just randomly selects different sentences to write it every time you hit rewrite. I think we've got 4 sentences per output. When you're ready, copy it to clipboard. So copy that, paste that into your Word doc. It'll be about 90 to 95% finished. We can't really make it perfect because it's almost impossible. So there's always a couple of things you might see blank. So maybe there's a bit there, what controls we use for excluded studies, for instance. We exclude studies if the controls use something. So maybe you would delete this whole sentence, or maybe you would put in the blank. So that's writing your protocol. The review plan, is a guide. So it's kind of just a step-by-step guide over how to actually do a full review. So description kind of tells you what it is, what the task is, and we also link to a few handy tools that you might want to use. You can also list, we'll tell you who's doing what. You can put in notes as well. And as you finish them, you can click done and it will finish them. So that's the review plan. Now I'll go into some of our search tools, but I'll go back to my old project that I created to do that. So the first search tool we've got is called the Word Freak tool. So it is a text mining tool. So what you need to do is you need to identify what are called seed studies. So these are seed studies, are pre-identified studies that you know should be found by your search and should be included in your review. So you generally, I guess, you find them, put them in EndNote, export from EndNote as XML, or you can just upload them straight from PubMed as well. You can upload almost any file type of references if it comes from a database. So we support uploading files from PubMed, Ovid, CINAHL or EBSCO, Embase, both, well, I guess Ovid, and the Elsevier one. So Cochrane, RIS files as well, and Zotaro if you hate EndNote, which you're justified in hating EndNote and use Zotaro. You can also upload straight from Zotaro. So I'm going to select some records to analyze. So I've got blue light seed studies here. So this is 10 references. So what this will do is it will tell me what words appear lots of times, with the idea being and where they appear. So unique. So the word acne appears in 10 of my unique 10 of the articles that I uploaded. It appears in the title 10 times, abstract 48, keywords 12 times. So keywords field is generally the mesh term field. A good reason to do this is then it gives you good words to put in your search. So these are the words that people are using to describe the types of studies you want to find. So therefore, these are the words that should form the backbone of your search. So I think I'll do that. Yeah. So I'll do that. So I'll grab acne, which is a pretty good word to use. And this is what I do. Like, this is actually how I really do it. So this is nothing, well, I don't want to say, so this is what I do whenever I get started. So the word treatment, though, so here is a good example of how you do need to know what you're doing. You do need to know how to put a search together to use the tools. You can't just grab every word, bang them into PubMed and expect something to come out of it that's good, because it won't be good. So there are words that you want to use, words you want to skip. So treatment, there's no point putting treatment in a search because it basically retrieves all of PubMed. Light and blue are probably pretty good, but the phrase blue light, in fact, is probably better. So I'll skip those and I'll grab blue light. And I'll just put quotes around, and blue light is an intervention term. So I combine blue light with the and. So this is the population, this is the intervention. Patients I'll skip as well because, patients is also going to retrieve half of PubMed. So LED, I'm assuming it's not lead. I'm pretty confident it's LED. Phototherapy, also I'll grab. Acne, I don't need acne vulgaris because I've got acne, but I might just grab vulgaris. This will go up the top. Go down, lesions. Appears in lots of them, so I'll grab lesions, which goes up there. And might just leave it at that. Oh no, I'll grab lesion as well. Normally I'd go to a bit more effort than this, by the way. So that'll kind of do. I think we've got blue light, LED, phototherapy, acne, vulgaris, or lesions, or lesion. So that's my search kind of getting going. As I say, normally there is a bit more to searching than this, but this is a good way just to get started and get some really good words to get going. Next, I need to find and identify some mesh terms. If you don't know what a mesh term is, I highly recommend popping in to talk to a health librarian who will very kindly help you out and tell you what they are and how to find them and why you use them. So I'm going to use our tool called Meshmate, because we're Australian, to try to find some mesh terms. So the first mesh term I want to try to look for is the correct mesh term for acne. So this goes off and this actually searches the PubMed mesh database. So we API into it. So it's told me acne vulgaris is the right mesh term to use. So I'll go and add it. I can always take it off as well. So if it's green with a plus, it'll add it to your search. If it's red with a cross, it'll take it away. So I'm going to copy that, put that now into my search, and put an OR there. The good thing about using Meshmate and copying it straight out of Meshmate is it actually adds the mesh field tag to it, so it searches it appropriately as a mesh term. Next, I'll just go with phototherapy. Just find out what the right mesh term is for that, which is phototherapy, which is handy. So I'll grab that as well. So that's my search kind of put together all right. Now, there's no tool to help with this, but normally it's a good idea to restrict your searches to certain fields. I'm going to restrict my search to the title and abstract field. So TAB in square brackets means only searching the title and abstract in PubMed. And phototherapy or blue light. All right, done. So I've got my search. So it's probably not too bad, but what I'm going to do next, though, is I'm going to use our search refiner tool to try to refine it, just to try to reduce the number of irrelevant studies it finds. So I'm just going to put brackets around my different search concepts. So I'll then grab that, move down to the search refiner tool. So the search refiner tool needs a PubMed search. It only works with PubMed, unfortunately, so it needs a PubMed search, but it also needs the PubMed IDs of some seed studies. So I'll put my search in. Then I'll get the PubMed IDs of those seed studies. You can get them in PubMed or you can pull them out from the accession number fields in EndNote. I have already got them. So these are the seed studies. I know my search needs to find them. These are the PubMed IDs of them. They're all on a new row. So they have to be in this column format as well, which it does tell you here, seed PM IDs 1 per line. Then I'll hit search, and this will then go off and search PubMed. Hopefully. So we do API in and we do get queued up by PubMed, who I guess sometimes DQ us behind all of the Americans. Cool. So it runs the search as a whole. It tells you how the search as a whole performs, but also importantly, it tells you how each individual word performs. And then it gives you some really nice numbers up the top, which can help you decide whether or not your search is good enough to go with, or whether or not you need to refine it a little bit to reduce the number of irrelevant studies. So 32,000 total citations retrieved is how many citations does this search find in PubMed? Finds 32,000, which is a lot, in fact, way too many. 10 relevant citations to find is how many seed PubMed IDs did I upload? So I uploaded 10, that's here. So there are 10 seed PubMed IDs or 10 seed studies this search needs to find. 10 relevant citations found is how many of those citations did this find? And it found all 10. So the search is finding everything, so that's good, but it's also finding way, way too much that we don't want to have to screen 32,000. So the idea is you zoom in and you try to find things you can take out. That's not going to impact on finding all the seed studies. So I'll just look at lesion. I'll try to go, well, I'll have to read it sideways. So lesion as a search word in PubMed, just by itself, finds 447,341 records or citations in PubMed. That's the number outside the bracket is how many records does this word find in PubMed. 5, which is the number inside the brackets, is how many of the seed studies does it find? So that's number inside the brackets. Lesions, for example, finds 800,000 in PubMed just by itself, and it finds 8 of our seed studies. So the idea is to try to remove some words to see if you can get that 32,000 number down while still making sure you find all 10 of your relevant citations. So you just do that by editing your search. So lesion is pretty broad and they're finding lots of different things. So I'm going to see what happens if I remove lesion from my search. Cool. All right. So it's rerun the search now. Instead of 35,000, we're down to 2,800, which is much better. I much prefer to screen 2,800 than 35,000. And it's still finding all of our relevant citations. So it's still finding all 10 of our relevant citations, which is very handy. I might just also pull out LED because LED seems to be finding a lot as well. If you're wondering how much it finds, as a bit of a clue, if it's a great big box or a big thick column, it's finding a lot. So the more impact it will have on your search if you can pull it out safely. So it's always important that you're still finding all of those seed studies. Cool. All right, we're now down to 1,480 total citations retrieved. So that's probably still a few too many, but normally I would then add a randomized study design filter onto this search, which will drop this down again. If you don't know what a randomized study design filter is that you need to add, to your searches to find randomized trials, again, pop into the library and I'm sure they can help you kind of add study design filters to your search. But I'm going to go with this search for tonight. So I'll grab that search and I'll use this as my PubMed search. So next to Pairwise PubMed. Pairwise PubMed is really good, but I'm not going to really go through it. So it's for advanced search experts who are really keen to use PubMed and PubMed adjacency. It allows you to build complicated PubMed adjacency searching. It's a really neat tool. I'm not going to really go through it. Well, I'm not going to go through it at all. But if you are into like PubMed adjacency searching and more advanced search techniques, can be a very handy tool to have a look at. The next tool I'll do is the Polyglot Search Translator. I've just got a PubMed as well, which I'll need in a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my PubMed search, and I'm going to use the Polyglot Search Translator to translate it to a Cochrane Central search and a Embase search. So I'll paste my PubMed search in. So you can either paste in PubMed searches. It also supports OVID searches. So if you paste an OVID search in, it will also translate that. So what I'll do is I'll get my Cochrane library search. Or, well, Cochrane Central in this case, because I'm only looking for randomized trials. And I'll get my Embase search as well. I have access to Embase via Elsevier. If you have it via OVID, you would use that one. So the one thing it won't do, though, is it won't automatically translate a mesh term to an entry term. I'll be doing that in a second. So I'll also I'll be showing you what that means in a second and how I do it. All right, so I've got my 3 searches. So I'm now going to very quickly run them. So I've got a PubMed. I will save these to Citation Manager, all results. Then I will go to the Cochrane library and I'll run my Cochrane search just while that's downloading. So to use field tags in Cochrane, when you search Cochrane, you've got to go to Advanced Search, then the Search Manager. That way you can use field tags, such as only search in the title and abstract. So I'll hit Continue. I'll then grab these 353 from Cochrane. I'll support them as RIS EndNote, which is the file type we support. While that's going, I'll go to Embase. All right, so Embase, I will. First of all, I'm just going to check to make sure I'm using the right terms. So I'm just going to switch my mesh terms to M-tree terms. So the first thing I'll do, so I'll come back. So you do that by going up again, up to M-tree. Then you can find out if you've got the right terms or if you need to modify them. So I'm going to grab Acne vulgaris. So Acne vulgaris is the right term to use. So thankfully, we don't have to change it. So that's fine. Then I'll check the other one, I think is phototherapy. So just check to see what's going on with phototherapy. Make sure that that's also the appropriate M-tree term to use, which it is. So that's good. So that's fine. So my Embase search should now run without too many problems. So I'll do that. Oh, 3,429. That's a lot. All right, so I'll export these out of. Hopefully export them all out of Embase. I can't remember which databases have 1,000 limits on them. It looks like this one will be fine. All right, so while this is exporting my search results from Embase, I'm going to start to import those search results into TERA so I can get prepared to deduplicate them. All right, so the first one is my PubMed set. Then I'll grab my, I think that's the Cochrane one. Cool. And then I'll get the Embase one. So you can two options really. What you can do is you can just bang these all into Zotero or EndNote. Then after you put them in Zotero and EndNote, you can pull them out as an XML file and upload them. Or you can just merge the files here in TERA. So I tick all three and I merge a lot. So it might take a minute or to do it. But what that'll do is it'll combine those, whatever that is, 5,000 odd references into a single file. So this is search results and save. So now I've got, well, it'll take a little while. It's a pretty big file. So now this will merge them together and combine them into a single file. And that's my internet's now out of data, which would be embarrassing. All right, so while that's doing that, I'll move down to deduplicate. So yeah, so it's still uploading. So it's a pretty big file. So it'll take a minute to upload. So really big files can take a little while to upload and store it. I will. stare at the spinning thing for another second or two before moving to the deduplicator. All right, I might do a different project where I've got a file that's ready to duplicate. And as it uploads that file, sorry, I should have probably just exported the first 500 from Nbase instead of 3,400 and something. Cool. So I'll go down. So after you've done all your searching, there's overlap in databases, so you need to use the deduplicator. The deduplicator will help you identify and remove all of the duplicates that are in that set. So we've got two algorithms. We've got relaxed algorithm. Relaxed algorithm means that it's going to not make any mistakes and not remove any unique studies or singular studies, as we call them, but it is going to miss a few duplicates. Focused algorithm means it's going to pick up and it's going to find pretty much all the duplicates and remove them, but it will make a few mistakes, and so you have to do a small amount of manual checking. We've got a question mark here you can click on, which tells you what to do with each one. So I'm going to go with focused, and I will find one to deduplicate. Probably not the blue light with no duplicates. We'll try this one. So you upload your file, hit focused, hit deduplicate. It will then deduplicate it all. And so what you do is then you go through and you just see how many duplicates are there. Super quick check. Well, there's none in there, so that's fine. But we don't really recommend bothering to check either one of these two, the top two. Where we do suggest you do check quickly is this one called TERA check, where these are likely duplicates. So you just open it up and have a quick look through. And if you see something that, I mean, that's might not be a duplicate, I'm pretty sure it is, but if it's not a dupe, just hit not dupe. This will then split it up, and then your duplicate will be removed. And then you can save the results. Ready to start screening. So I won't save this one because I've got enough saving going on. So that's deduplicating. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use. Upload your file full of duplicates, run the algorithm, have a quick check through the results, save it, ready to screen. So we have two screening tools. We have Screenatron, which is our old tool, which we're moving to replace. We've left it up because we've got a lot of people who still really want us to leave it up for a while. But it's just a screening tool. There's lots of them out there. But I won't go through it because the new tool, the Mecha Screener tool, is the one I'll show tonight. So this is a tool which has actually got a large language model built into it. And I'll just scrub all the work I did this afternoon. So it's a tool that's got a large language model auto screener built into it. So you upload your file, you give the criteria that you want it to assess the studies on, then you hit deduplicate. And I will sensibly find a small one that I think I've got. So for Mecha Screener. So, you know, you can upload as many as you want up to the number of credits you've got. I'm just going to stick with 99 because I don't want to look at spinning wheels too much tonight. So I've uploaded 99 references, hit continue. It will default to not automatically screening. If you want to automatically screen, hit the enable automated screening button. That then loads up the PICO criteria you can fill out. You can switch that off if you just want to write in here what you're looking for, but we recommend, if you can, to use the PICO criteria for the assessment. You can also use exclusion criteria. Again, we don't recommend using it, but if you do really want to use it, you can. You can import PICO criteria from the review wizard. So this is the review wizard I filled out earlier. If you didn't use the review wizard, you can just type this in. So also it helps if you spell it correctly. So my inclusion criteria is people with acne, blue light phototherapy. I'll just delete usual care because normally you don't use a comparator if it's usual care or placebo. And I'll just stick with reduction in acne severity as well. And I'm only looking for randomized trials. Hit continue and finish. This then hopefully, good. So this will then send it off to the large language model we use. It'll process it and it will give it a score from 1 to 5, with 1 being automatically exclude, and then 2 to 5 being we recommend humans review these studies. So anything that scores a 1 gets put into the exclude group automatically. So, and I won't have time to go through all of the different results and evaluations that we've done. We have done them. We are publishing them, and I think up here we do have a preprint, which I won't go and look at, but the preprint's there that you can go look at now, which has got all the evaluations. We tested it across 15 reviews, and it's 100% safe to use. So you can go have a look at the preprint, and hopefully it'll be published soon so people can cite it properly. But anything excluded, we recommend don't even bother looking at it. Maybe the first time you use the tool, you might want to, but it is perfectly safe to leave these in the exclude group. The to screen group, so this is the group where humans have to review it. You have an inclusion score of 5, so these are pretty likelies, all the way down to the 2s, which are unlikely. Anything that's missing an abstract, we put in the automatically humans need to review this. So we don't do anything, we don't process them because we can't really do much with only a title. So these ones we say humans have to look through these themselves. We don't give any guidance at all. So I might just quickly go through and just automatically exclude those, which I don't recommend doing this fast if you're doing it for real. I'll just include these 4 that got a good score. So then I'm done screening these. I'll save them. Screened include, so it knows that I screened them, so put tags my initials on the end of them, and I'll save them. Cool. All right, so that's using the Mecha Screener. It's got a lot of nice features, hotkeys, and you can search for different things, and you can do keyword highlighting as well. I might just, so for instance, if you put in blue, add the word blue, because it's green, it's a bit hard to see, but the word blue gets highlighted. So you can use keyword highlighting. You can put in retrospective as well, and then that would be red. So it's got lots of cool, neat features, which I don't have time to go through tonight, but it is a really neat, useful screening platform. If you want to back it up, we do have a backup screening progress as well, but the Mecha Screener will save every 15 minutes. So every 15 minutes it will auto-save. So you can only ever lose up to 15 minutes worth of work. At the moment, I've got unsaved changes. If I hit Control S, sorry, this will now save my progress, and everything's good to go. To resolve disputes, so not normally, if you do a systematic review, it's a bit different maybe for scoping reviews and other review types, but for systematic reviews, 2 people should really independently be reviewing these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to then compare those 2 review decisions, and we do that in the Disputatron tool. I can't remember how many I did. I think I'm just going to say we screened 1,000 for this. I'm going to then put in my 4. And then Mark, he can have these 10. Then you hit submit. So it will give you your accuracy measures. So it'll give you a Cohen's. Oof, we did really badly. Anyway, so it'll give you your inter-rater reliability scores here if you want them. So what it will do is it will display screening conflicts, but you can display agreements as well as conflicts if you want. Then you just go through. So Mark and I would sit down together and we would go, okay, this first one that Mark included, have a look at the abstract and then talk amongst ourselves, maybe ask a third person, decide whether to include or exclude. So I'm going to include Mark's because I know they're right and exclude mine. Then save. And again, now these are saved. So these are then ready to do full text screening on. So that's Disputatron tool. Oof. All right, so we're running out of time, but we might still be just all right. The next tool is SpiderSite. So SpiderSite is a good tool to do great tool to do your backwards forward citation search. So when you do a search, you screen your search results, you get a list of included studies. It's very common to then do what's called a backwards and forward citation search on those. So the backward citation search is look through the reference lists of your included studies. Forward citation search is to identify everyone who has cited your included studies. Then you screen those records just to see if there's any additional ones that the citation search pulls up that you might have missed. So I will do that. So I upload my file. This then imports it into the Lens database, which has got millions of citations and cross-references in it. This will then load 9, which is good. 1, you might still have to do yourself if you want to. But the output here is backward citation search. So these are the 184 records from the reference lists of my included studies, and these are the 670 articles that have cited my included studies. So this is my full citation search done, and I'll then just save those. So there's 817 new references that I might want to screen. So Snowball 1, I'll save that. Done. So cool. Sorry, done. So now what I want to do is I want to make sure I don't have to rescreen anything I've already screened. So my citation search has probably got some of the same articles that were in my search results, and I don't want to have to screen anything twice. So if I come back to the deduplicated tool, I can then, instead of deduplicating reference sets, I can identify new references instead. So this will compare two sets of references and then pull out any that are in both. In other words, it will pull out anything you've screened previously. So if I upload my search results, I'll just put these 581 in, and then I get my snowballed references. And I'll just stay relaxed for now, and I'll identify any overlap between the two. So this has detected 712 duplicates across them. So it'll pull them out. So it'll keep 686 records. So it's dropped it by 100 and something, 130. References have now been removed because I had already screened them as part of my search results. I'll save. Well, that's fine. I won't keep saving things. So then that is SpiderSite. TerraFarmer. TerraFarmer is a good tool to try to find more studies or maybe even some seed studies. So what it will do is you can upload a file and a bunch of PubMed IDs. It will then use PubMed's similar articles feature to find them and to find similar articles that are similar to them. I use it as a good way to find additional seed studies if I don't have enough to get started. So I'll just upload these 10 references. It'll pull out the PubMed IDs and run it. Then I'll go find related. So these are the 1,244 related articles that PubMed thinks are related to the 10 I uploaded. It also gives them a score from 1 to 1,244, a relevance ranking. I don't know how that works. Only PubMed knows, but PubMed are pretty good. So I assume it's probably a pretty good relevance score. So then what I will do is I'll look through the first 50. You can look through all of them, but we don't recommend that. We recommend just looking through the first 50 just to see maybe if your search has missed anything, just to try to find out those last studies that maybe you missed, or as a way to identify additional seed studies at the start. Calculon's a neat tool to use if you've got some for helping you do a meta-analysis. So if you've got some numbers you need for your meta-analysis, it will give you the rest. So if you've got the means, for instance, of a study, so maybe study 1 had a mean of 20 and study 2 had a mean of 15, each one had 100 participants, and say you know the p-value of that is 0.15. What it will then do is it will give you the total number of patients, the mean difference between them, the standard error, confidence intervals as well, and standard deviations of your numbers. So it's just a neat way to get a bunch of numbers ready for your meta-analysis. So it's 7:59. I'm going to go for 3. If you're wondering, I'm going to go for 3 more minutes. So please, if you've had enough, feel free to leave. But if you're wondering how much longer the tool demos will go for, it'll be wrapping up at 8:02 or 8:03 maximum. The next tool is risk of bias. So this is not a risk of bias assessment tool. This won't help you do your assessing. You need to do your own assessing still. So, you've got to go and read the articles and decide whether or not they're high, low, unclear risk of bias. This will help you report your risk of bias. So it will create your summary plots and your traffic light plots to go in your manuscript. So I'm going to create a table. I'll just put 2 rows in. I've got to delete some of these assessment labels at some point. So study 1, my assessment for that was low and low. Everything's editable. So domain 1 is normally, I think, randomization. Domain 2 is normally blinding, assessor blinding or participant blinding, and I won't fill in the rest. But you can just use hotkeys. So L, H for hot, U for unclear, and you can modify and change it all. So as I say, it's all customizable. You can put in reasons as well, which I won't do. But these are not very good studies. Below this one, then it will create your individual study plots, which is handy. Image, traffic light plot. You can copy and same with study summary plots. This will give you a summary of the studies across all the different domains. Again, you can export it, copy and paste this into your manuscript. Meta pairwise is a meta-analysis tool. So after you've pulled all the data, put it into an Excel spreadsheet, which looks like this. So this is the spreadsheet I'm going to upload. So you put the different studies in the different study arms here. Rate, so you just need to put in the rate, so that's the number of events, and that's the number of people. So you just fill out your Excel spreadsheet like this. And if I come back here to data, there are really good, quickly before I do that though, this is a great collaboration, between us and the University of Leicester in Glasgow. These guys here collaborated with us. They did most of the work really. So I just give them a heads up. So here's the data. You upload your data, loads it in. Then I go to my calculator in a sec. So there's some really nice formatting requirements. It tells you exactly what you need to do, and you can download examples that you can then, the Excel spreadsheets that you just fill out. I go to my calculator and then I'll run my frequentist meta-analysis, and it will run my meta-analysis for me, which is really nice. It'll give you a Larbe plot. Basically does your forest plots for you, which is really cool. Does fixed effects and random effects both at the same time, which is also really cool. Then you can download this forest plot as a JSON file. You can then come over to the replicant tool, and the replicant tool will then write the results, part of your results section for you using that JSON file. So hopefully I've got one here that I uploaded previously. So I'll upload that, and then what a replicant will do is it will pull the numbers out and will write the results for you of that meta-analysis. So it knows there were 7 studies in it, knows there were almost 32,000 participants, how many in each arm. It also understands heterogeneity, so I squared of 62.5 is high. So it just does this for you. Copy and paste this into your manuscript as well. Again, if you don't like it, hit regenerate, and it will just rewrite it all for you a little bit. Oh, 804, and that's it. As soon as I find the share button. All right, so that's it for the workshop. That's it. I'm not doing any more demos. I'll be answering questions from here. If you have a question, feel free to type it in the chat. I'll just answer the ones, or actually I'll stop recording